Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are going to perform a bit of an exorcism.
That is a heavy way to start a Tuesday.
I think it fits, though. We're exercising a word, a concept, really. I mean, it's a word that's, probably on your coffee mug or in your company's vision statement.
Oh, yeah.
Or in, like, 3/4 of the Instagram captions you scrolled past this morning. The word is empowerment.
Ah, yes. The sacred cow of modern self-development. The golden calf, if you will.
Exactly. We are obsessed with it. We want to be empowered leaders, empowered partners, empowered creators. The entire cultural water we swim in says the ultimate goal is to feel strong, capable, in control.
To be the architect of your reality.
Yes.
Sovereignty, manifestation, boss energy. I mean, it's all the same flavor, right? It's the promise that you can be bigger than your circumstances.
Right. And usually on this show, we'd be looking at a source that tells you how to do that better, how to be more empowered. But today, well, we are doing the absolute opposite. We're looking at a text titled Proportion Over Power, the Architecture of Holistic Fidelity, specifically Section 16. And the argument it makes is, well, it's kind of rude.
It is abrasive. It is not here to make friends.
It effectively says, stop it. Just stop trying to be empowered. It's making you miserable.
It frames the whole pursuit of empowerment not as a strength, but as a symptom, a sickness almost. It suggests that the desire for power is actually evidence that you've, lost the plot.
Which, to be honest, it triggered my defenses when I first read it. I think most people here reject empowerment and they think,
so I should be a doormat.
Yeah, I should just be a victim. Let life roll over me.
That's the knee-jerk reaction. But the source, this text on holistic fidelity, it's arguing something so much more nuanced. It's not suggesting you should be weak. It's suggesting that what we call empowerment is actually a hallucination.
A hallucination.
A hallucination that burns a tremendous amount of energy to maintain.
So if we aren't aiming for power, what are we aiming for? What's the goal, if not to be the CEO of the universe? Proportion.
Trading the exhaustion of trying to run the universe for the stability of knowing your actual coordinates within it.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because I have to say proportion sounds a little less sexy than empowerment. But the text starts with a diagnosis that really hooked me. It defines the modern urge for empowerment as, and this is a quote, egoic compensation.
Right, and compensation is the key word there. Think about a guy who buys a truck that is clearly way too big for his commute.
Oh, I know that truck.
It has monster tires, right. But he works in accounting and parks in a compact spot. We call that overcompensation. Why does he do it? Because somewhere, deep down, he feels small. He feels vulnerable. The source argues the ego works the exact same way. I mean, when do you desperately crave to feel powerful or in control?
Usually when I feel like things are spiraling. When I'm anxious, when I don't know what's going to happen next.
Exactly. The text says empowerment arises where proportion has been lost. When your mind, your spirit, when it feels destabilized by the chaos of life, it panics. It doesn't want to feel small. So it reaches for power as a substitute for clarity.
So it's just a Band-Aid?
It's a drug. It's a way to numb the discomfort of vulnerability. We don't understand what's happening, so we decide we need to control what's happening.
We substitute dominance for understanding.
We do. And the source goes after modern spirituality pretty hard here. It talks about these doctrines of inner omnipotence, the whole idea that thought creates reality.
Right, the idea that if I just visualize the check in the mail hard enough, the universe has to deliver it.
And this is where it gets a little technical, but it's fascinating. The text argues that when the ego buys into this, that the universe is just a vending machine waiting for your intention, it severs the link between intelligence and reality.
Severs the link. Wow, that sounds dangerous. Like cutting the brake line on a car?
It kind of is. It makes you stupid. I mean that literally. If you believe you are omnipotent or that you can manifest any outcome if your vibration is right, you stop looking at the terrain. You stop seeing the wall in front of you as a wall. You see it as a limiting belief that you just need to think your way through.
And then you crash into the wall.
And then you blame yourself. You think, oh, I didn't manifest hard enough. My vibration was too low. This source calls this a delusion of inflation. You become like a balloon, expanding, pushing everything else out. You lose contact.
There was a specific line in there that just, it hit me. The ego interprets constraint as failure.
Yes. And that is the misery generator right there.
It is, right. If I can't fix the situation at work, or if my partner's unhappy and I can't solve it, or if I get sick, I feel like I failed, like I wasn't empowered enough.
Yeah.
But the text says that's the wrong framework entirely.
It is. Because you're operating from that empowerment framework, which only asks one question. How do I get what I want? It views the world as just raw material for your desires. If the world resists, either the world is wrong or you are weak.
Okay, so let's pivot to the alternative. Because proportion still sounds a bit, I don't know, dry, like a math class.
Yeah.
Or portion control on a diet.
I think it's actually closer to engineering or architecture. The holistic framework asks us a totally different question. Instead of, how do I get what I want? It asks, what is mine to carry and what is not?
Oof, okay.
It does.
That lands differently. What is mine to carry?
It changes the physics of your life immediately. Proportion is simply the accurate relationship between the self, reality, and limit. So while empowerment tries to inflate the self to dominate the environment, proportion situates the self within the environment.
It's about knowing your size.
Precisely. And to know your size, you have to have what the source calls contact.
Contact. And we're not talking about alien encounters.
No, much simpler. Think about walking in a dark room at night. How do you know where the furniture is?
I bump into it. Usually with my shin. Painfully.
You bump into it, you hit a limit. That shin bruise is contact. It tells you, I am here and the table is there. I am not the table. The table is hard and I am soft. And the source argues that holistic spirituality, it loves limits. It loves the shin bruise.
Why on earth would anyone love the shin bruise?
Because limits tell you where you end and the rest of the world begins. Without limits, you're just a shapeless gas floating in a void. Limits give you definition. They give you shape.
But we hate limits. We hate being told no. We hate waiting. We hate rules.
Because we've been sold the lie of omnipotence. But the source, it gives us this list of the uncontrollables, and it insists we have to name them. We have to look them right in the eye.
It's a brutal list. It's not the kind of thing you put on a vision board. Time, death, other people, chance, emergence, consequence.
Yeah. I mean, let's just take time. How much energy do we spend trying to fight time? Anti-aging, productivity hacks to squeeze 26 hours into 24?
All of it. I treat time like an enemy I have to defeat every single day.
Right. But you can't defeat it. It's a structural limit. Or how about other people? That is the one that really destroys the empowerment narrative for me. You can have the most powerful mindset in the world, but you cannot control what your toddler or your boss is going to do in the next 5 minutes.
You can influence them?
Yeah.
Maybe. But control? No way.
And yet, be honest. How much of your mental battery is just drained by trying to mentally manage other people?
Roughly 90%, maybe 95% during the holidays.
Right. You're running simulations, you're having arguments in the shower, you're trying to manifest a different personality for them, you're rehearsing speeches you'll never give. The text calls this performing power you do not have.
Performing power you do not have. Wow. That is such a calling out, it feels like.
Yeah.
Like acting.
It is acting. And it's waste. It's heat loss. The engine of your mind is revving to redline, but the gears aren't engaged. You aren't moving anything. You're just burning out, exhausting yourself, trying to push a mountain that isn't going to move.
So proportion is looking at that person or that situation and just admitting, I cannot move this.
And that isn't giving up. The text calls that orientation. It's looking at the map and saying, okay, I am here. I am not everywhere. I am just here, and the mountain is there.
That feels like a relief. Just hearing you say it, like, I don't have to push the mountain today.
You never had to. You never could. The text says that once limits are seen accurately, intelligence stops wasting energy. It stops pushing on the wall, and suddenly it has all this energy to notice the door that's like 2 feet to the left.
This leads us to the section on virtue.
Yeah.
And I have to admit, when I see words like discipline and humility and restraint, I usually tune out. This sounds like Sunday school. Be humble because it's nice.
We've moralized those words. We think of them as social manners. We think humility is about bowing your head and pretending you aren't great. But the source just flips that completely. It says these are not moral virtues. They are perceptual correctives.
Explain that. Perceptual correctives, like wearing glasses.
Exactly like glasses, or like the focus ring on a camera. Humility isn't about thinking you're garbage. It's a technical adjustment. It's the tool you use to de-inflate the ego so you can see the scale of things accurately.
So humility is just accuracy.
Yes. Arrogance is a distortion in the lens. It makes you look bigger than you are. It's a fisheye lens where you are the center and everything else is warped around you. Humility corrects the distortion. It returns the self to scale.
I love that phrase the text uses there, return the self to scale. It sounds so architectural, like we're looking at a blueprint.
Well, if you build a house and you ignore the scale, if you try to put a cathedral dome on a woodshed, what happens? It collapses. It crushes the foundation. Our lives are collapsing because we are trying to build these cathedrals of control on foundations that can only support a woodshed of influence.
The Taj Mahal on a garden shed foundation.
And then we wonder why the roof is leaking and the walls are buckling.
But here's the pushback, and I know our listeners are thinking because I'm thinking it. If I accept my woodshed size, if I accept I can't control outcomes, isn't that just passive? Do I just sit on the couch and let life happen to me?
And that is the crucial pivot point of this whole deep dive. The source argues, no. Paradoxically, accepting your limits produces a higher quality of agency. It actually makes you more effective, not less.
How does being smaller make me more effective?
Because your agency becomes precise rather than inflated.
Unpack that for me. Precise agency.
When you stop trying to command what you can't touch, you become, and I love this phrasing from the text, faithful within what you actually touch.
Faithful within what you actually touch.
Think about a surgeon. Does a surgeon try to control the entire concept of health? No, that's way too big. Do they try to control the patient's whole life history or their genetics? No. They focus with absolute terrifying precision on the 3 square inches of tissue under the scalpel.
That is local responsibility.
Right. And if they were worrying about the patient's genetics while cutting, they'd mess up the surgery. Their effectiveness comes from their narrowing of focus. The text even lists the results of this shift. It says, speech becomes cleaner.
Meaning what? We stop swearing.
Meaning we stop lying, we stop puffing ourselves up, we stop making promises we can't keep, we stop saying, I will definitely fix this when we don't know if we can. We just say what is true, precise.
And action becomes timely.
You stop trying to force the harvest in the spring. You move with the grain of reality. You stop grinding against the mechanism of the universe and start working with it. You wait for the wave instead of trying to scream at the ocean to make a wave.
There's a distinction the source makes here that I think is the real headline of this whole episode. The difference between dominance and fidelity.
Yes. This is the core conflict. Empowerment seeks dominance. It wants to override reality to fit the will. Holistic spirituality seeks fidelity.
Fidelity. We usually use that for audio, right? High fidelity.
Which is the perfect metaphor. What is high fidelity sound? It's sound that is true to the source. It doesn't add bass that wasn't there. It doesn't distort the treble. It reproduces the reality perfectly.
And low fidelity is distorted, full of static and noise.
Exactly. So spiritual fidelity is being true to the signal of reality. It's aligning yourself with what is. It's stopping the distortion field of your own ego and saying, this is the situation, not what I want it to be, but what it is, and here is my role within it.
And the source implies that this creates a different kind of strength, not the movie hero strength where you blow up the alien ship and save the galaxy.
No, it's not performative. It doesn't need an audience. It doesn't need 10,000 likes on Instagram. The text defines this strength as the capacity to act rightly without illusion.
Act rightly without illusion. That sounds so simple, but it's incredibly hard.
It's the hardest thing there is. Can you look at a messy situation? Your team is failing, the budget is cut, you're tired, and instead of pretending you're a superhero who can fix it all with a big speech, can you just see the one small, correct move and take it?
That feels doable, but also harder in a way, because it denies me the fantasy of being the savior.
It requires the disassembly of the ego. That's the word the text uses, not destruction. Disassembly, like taking an engine apart on the workbench.
You have to take apart the machine that needs to be the center of the universe.
And that machine is heavy. We carry it around all day. The need to be right, the need to be seen as powerful, the need to be sovereign. The source is just saying, put it down, take it apart. You don't need it. It's dead weight.
And the text admits this is going to sound unimpressive to modern ears. It acknowledges that this isn't a flashy sales pitch.
Oh, it's terrible marketing. Come to my seminar. I will teach you how to be small and local.
Learn how to admit you can't do much. Yeah, I'm not clicking on that ad. I want the become a god in 30 days ad.
But that's why it's the deep dive, right? We're looking for what's true, not what sells. And the payoff, according to the source, is actually trust.
This was the part that stuck with me most. Proportion is the condition under which intelligence becomes trustworthy.
I mean, think about it. Do you trust a bridge that claims it can hold infinite weight?
No, of course not, because that's a lie. Nothing holds infinite weight. I trust a bridge that has a posted weight limit. Load limit, 10 tons.
Exactly. You trust the bridge because it knows its limits. It knows its proportion. The same applies to us. In the empowerment framework, we don't actually trust ourselves. We're constantly hyping ourselves up. I can do anything. I am limitless. But deep down, we know we're frauds. We know we can't control the weather. We know we can't stop time. So there's this low-level hum of anxiety that we're going to be found out.
That imposter syndrome feeling.
Yeah.
It's rampant.
Imposter syndrome is just the gap between your inflated self-image and your actual capacity. The source says, close the gap if you say, I cannot control the market, but I can make this one sales call correctly, and then you do it. You trust yourself.
You become reliable to yourself.
And to others. I would follow a leader who knows what they can't do 1,000 times faster than a leader who pretends they can do everything.
Because the leader who pretends
is eventually going to drive the bus off a cliff because they refuse to look at the map. That is a leader who has severed contact with reality. They are steering based on a wish, not based on the road.
So ultimately, this whole rejection of empowerment isn't about being passive, it's about being sane.
It's about being real. It refuses the lie that agency comes from pretending to be larger than reality.
That's the line right there, pretending to be larger than reality.
It is the ultimate source of burnout. We are trying to be larger than the life we are living. We are trying to be larger than our bodies, larger than our time. And just the physical relief of letting yourself be the size you actually are, it's immense.
It reminds me of that feeling when you finally put down a heavy backpack you didn't even realize you were wearing. You just think, oh, I can just walk.
What is mine to carry? If the answer isn't the entire world, you suddenly have the strength to carry what is yours. You can actually lift your own life because you aren't trying to lift everyone else's.
I want to leave our listeners with a specific challenge for the week based on this, because this is philosophy, but it have to hit the pavement. We talked about how the ego views limitation as a failure.
Right. The red light, the rejection letter, the delay.
So here is the thought experiment. Tomorrow, when you hit a wall, when you don't have enough time or money or someone says no to you, try to flip the switch. Instead of viewing that limit as a failure of your manifestation or a sign that you are weak, view it simply as information.
As data. Coordinates.
I am here. The wall is there. If you treated that limit as a neutral fact, just like gravity, how would your next move change?
I suspect you'd stop arguing with the wall. You'd stop crying about the wall. And you'd start looking for the door.
And you might find that for the first time in a while, you actually trust the person making the decision.
It's a good place to start.
Thanks for going deep with us today. This was a big one.
Always a pleasure.
We'll catch you on the next deep dive. Stay proportionate, friends.